Anxiety, depression, and suicide. Let's talk about it. A lot of people have problems with anxiety and depression. It's a huge problem, much bigger than it's publicized or talked about on the news. Now, before I talk about anxiety and depression, here's a few herbs that can help. One thing that is said that can help a lot with anxiety and depression is magnesium. It's said that, you could have a magnesium or a calcium deficiency, which will set it off. So I would advise people to try magnesium, try some calcium, but don't overdo the calcium because you don't want to get, if you take too much calcium and build up in your body, you have to go get a surgery to get it removed. So don't take a lot of calcium, just take it every now and then. If you got a calcium supplement, take it like once a week. But, don't take a calcium supplement and then buy orange juice with calcium and this with calcium. Now you got too much calcium. And that calcium stays in your body. I had a friend had to get surgery to get the calcium removed out of his body. Now, I'm no expert on these subjects, but I just want to give people some words of encouragement to help them deal with it. Now, my own personal advice for people that are suffering from depression, I feel like they should watch more comedy. Who's your favorite comedian? Or what's your favorite thing that makes you laugh? You bring more of that into your life. Laughter is a natural healer. You need something to take your mind off of what you're thinking about. A lot of time depression comes from you just, rotating the same subject in your mind over and over again. You have to free your mind. So look at something different. Take your mind off of what's bothering you. Whether it's your weight, because some women get depressed over their weight. It could be a death in the family. It could be a broke up relationship. It could be economics. It could be a lot of things that could cause you to be kind of down on yourself. So you got to shake that mold. You got to get out of that mood, you know? Now, one thing with depression, a lot of times from people I talk to, you know, they'll have a problem and it will bring them down. And another good way to deal with that is to come to the realization that, you know, problems is just a part of the world. There's a lot of people that have problems. You know, there's a lot of people that have the same problem you have. There's a lot of people that have worse problems. You know, you might be missing a finger, but there's somebody missing a whole arm. This is why they have groups where people can come if they're on drugs or they're suffering depression or whatever. So then you could talk and realize that you're not alone. You know, you can't just think that you're alone. You know, to really be a rounded mind and live in the world we live in today, you have to be realistic that, you know, life is full of ups and downs and that there's people here that are not doing very well. There are people in other countries that are starving, don't have anything to eat. There's people right here in America that don't have anything to eat. There's people that have bad drug addictions, so on and so forth. You might have one death in the family. There might be another person who had 3 deaths in the family and found out that they're dying too. So you have to be, you know, not so selfish. If you take away some of the selfishness of just thinking about you and your problems and put it on a global scale, it will kind of help you deal with that. You know, the realization that, you know, this is just how it goes. You know, my life, I've had ups and I've had downs. You know, I've had something happen to me and it took me a year to learn how to walk. And I had to keep myself positive. You know, I had doctors tell me I wasn't going to walk again. I did not listen to them because they are not the creator. See, you can't listen. They didn't make me. I'm here from creation. From the creator made it possible for me to be here. So in a year, I was walking again. You know. So you have to keep a positive outlook even if things are a little gloomy. You know, I'll share some stories with you if you're a person that's going through something. See, the house I'm sitting in right now, this is my mother and father's house. My mother passed away. And then my father's got Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And so one day I was coming over here. I used to always get my mail here because I move a lot and I travel. So I always had my mail stay at this same address for years. So no matter where I live at, I'd have my mail. I can't be constantly changing mailing addresses. So one day I came over to get my mail and I noticed he wasn't quite right. So I told my wife, I'm going to have to move in with Dad because he don't look like he's doing so good. So I moved in. And my father's room was the room directly over me. My wife was in one room, my daughter was in the other room, and I had to sleep on this couch for a couple years. Why? Because my father would get up and fall a lot, see? So I had to be under where I could hear him bumping. If I would go upstairs in the back room, I wouldn't hear him. So now I'm not a nurse. I'm not a person working in a nursing home. So now all of a sudden I'm taking care of somebody 24/7 around the clock. Because you know, old people don't sleep like that. So he might wake up anytime. So here I am dealing with him, cleaning him, washing him, feeding him, keeping him company, keeping him from falling and breaking a hip and making the situation worse. And so that, you know, people was coming and telling me, you know, you need professional help to come over here because you can end up getting depressed and all of this. But it was like, no, I want to do this myself. You know, this is the man that took care of me and I want to take care of him. So the thing is, you know, I probably was depressed, but I didn't know it. See? Why? Because I was too busy to know it. See? But there was certain things about me, you know, because I wasn't able to go out and move around. I had to watch him 24/7. The only time I could move around was if I overfeed him and I know he go to sleep. I know he gonna at least be asleep an hour, hour and a half. I go run, do something, hurry up, get back before he wake up and fall. So I could have easily slumped into some depression, you know, watching my father slowly die. But you know, I'm a realist. It's like, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of the world we live in, you know. So I had to deal with it, and I had to keep myself as positive as possible. And then he passed away, and I had to get myself on the upswing, see? I couldn't just sit there and let my mind just roam around and around and around, worrying about that. You know, life is full of ups and downs. A lot of times when something negative happens, that means something really positive is going to happen afterwards. You know, after the storm, it must be a calm. So if you're dealing with depression, do your best to think positive and go watch something that's going to bring happiness and laughter. Just don't, you know, stop letting your mind take over. You're more powerful than your mind. See, the mind is very powerful. So how you think is how you feel. So you can change your thoughts and it'll make you feel better. You see? It all depends on how you want to think. You know, you got to think positive. It's like when I was in Hawaii, we wanted to leave Oahu and we wanted to go to the Big Island. And so we bought a van and we moved out our apartment. So now we got like a week to live before it's time for us to go, because the van's got to go on a barge and we're going to get over there, and then the van's going to get there. So we're out in Hawaii and we're living outside, right? So it's me and a woman and a man and a child. So one night we're going and we're looking for a nice spot to live and stuff. And the people I was demanding, the woman, they was getting kind of down. They was like, man. And I had to tell them, I was like, look, people come from all over the world to Hawaii to lay on the beach and enjoy the beach. And that if they're lucky, they get a 2-week vacation, maybe 3 weeks. Here we are, we live out here. So let's enjoy it. And then everything turned bright sunshine when they thought about that. How was you depressed and you in Hawaii eating pineapples and eating mangoes out on the beach? Stop looking at it. You ain't homeless because you finna go over to another island. And you look at it like you're on vacation. So it's the way you paint your mind is the way you feel. I mean, shoot, it was beautiful out there on the beach. So then when we go out there on the beach, here's a whole bunch of people that they moved out of their houses to camp on the beach for 3 months. The Hawaiians and people like that, they leave their houses to come and live on the beach. It's beautiful. So this just shows you how powerful the mind is. suicide is a cry for attention, and a lot of times it's a cry for attention after the fact of the matter. You know, it's the thought that you can't take it no more, and it's also the thought that you're punishing those that you leave behind. And it's like you're going to have good things and you're going to have bad things. And you got to stop thinking you're the only one that have good and bad. Every one of us on this planet have good and bad. So don't try to act like this is some type of exclusive situation in your life where something bad happened. That's a kind of selfish mentality. I mean, join the club. I don't know anybody that had a happy life every day of their life. Whether they millionaires, billionaires, or whatever. And I don't know anybody that had miserable days every day in their life. I know people absolutely poor that had good days. So you got to rise up. You got to stay positive. You got to enjoy life. And you got to enjoy boredom. See? Fighting boredom leads to drug abuse and alcoholism. You always think it's supposed to be something going on. So you're trying to make something going on. You know, instead of you drinking some champagne because you accomplished something, you drinking every day. Trying to make life more exciting than what it is. When the reality is life is just chilled. What you call boring is actually chill. You know, a lot of times the birds just sitting on the tree, just looking, just chilling. They're not always flying and zipping around. So you got to embrace what you call boredom, because it's not boredom. There's nothing for you to do every day, every day, every day. You know, it reminds me, one time we was young, and I think it was prom. And you know how you my parents rent me a car, and you go to the prom, and the next day, you know, they're having a senior picnic and all this stuff. So the next day I go pick up my buddy, we finna go to the senior picnic. So we go to the senior picnic, and after senior picnic, we get in this car, and we driving around looking for something to do, looking for something to do, looking for something to do. But there was nothing to do, but we didn't want to face it. So we just driving. It's the next morning driving. And I messed around and like fell asleep a little bit and bumped into the back of a lady car. I didn't do no damage. I bumped into the back of a lady car looking for something to do, when the reality was, hey man, it wasn't nothing to do. Sometimes you got to face it. You feel me? Sometimes you got to face it ain't nothing to do. So enjoy that. You know, enjoy doing nothing. Now, if you work every day, you can relate. You know how it be when you ever notice when you be at work and you're working, how you wish you could be home doing nothing? But then sometime when you finally get home and you ain't got nothing to do, you forget how you was thinking at work. So now you run around looking for something to do. See? It's like your mind playing tricks on you. It's like sometimes nothing to do is great. You know, that's the difference between taking a trip and taking a vacation. And if you take a trip, oh man, you hauling luggage, you running around, let's go do this, let's go do this. You running around. By the time you get back home to get back to the grind, whatever you do to run your business or go to work, your whole trip for a week or a weekend, you just been hauling bags and running around and never sat still. See, that's a trip. But a vacation is to go, get you a nice hotel room. You might not even come out your hotel room for a day or two. You order takeout. You know, this is a vacation. No, I don't want to go run around. You know, some people, when they go on a trip, they take a whole bunch of bags. But people that go on vacation sometimes, they don't take nothing but a small carry-on. You know? See, my mother never took vacations. She always took trips. We go all the way to Alabama, and then as soon as we get to the hotel and check in, she want to go to Sears and Woolworths and Walgreens, the same stores they got up here. That's a vacation to her. Go to the mall. Like, we got malls where we left. We haul stuff the whole time, you know, because it's never really a vacation. You know, sometimes you got to relax. You got to chill. And then you won't be so uptight. But when you're always looking for something to do, and then there's nothing to do, these things cause depression. When you always think life is supposed to be happy and fun, and then it turns out it's not, these things what give you suicidal thoughts. See, sometimes people be doing stuff, they be doing too much. They be thinking too much. And the only reason they do that because they sit and they just think. You know, a lot of y'all out there right now probably feeling bad because of relationships. Listen, when you break up in a relationship, you got to go and find something to do. Go to a party, go to a club, go visit people. You can't just sit at home thinking about it. And don't go places where that person used to go. And don't talk about that person. Because if it's going to bring you up, it's going to bring you down. Let it go. Yes, it's natural for you to feel sad for a while. Hold your vibe. You know, if you realize you're going to be sad, then you won't be surprised you're going to be sad. So you're like, you sad, but you're supposed to be sad. And you deal with it for a little while, and then you pick yourself up and brush yourself off and go back out in the world and live. So, you know, if you're out there and you're dealing with anxiety, depression, if you're considering suicide, you need to know it's people that care about you. You know, you got people out there that love you out there. And you got to love yourself, you know? Like, nobody should love you more than you love you. You know, you got to love yourself. You got to be glad that you got a life, you know. You can't not want a life. Live. Enjoy life. Think positive. Positive. And one thing can help you think positive is comedy. Go to some comedy shows. Go watch video of your favorite comedian. Go watch funny movies. Just to relax you. Relax your mind. Get a little laugh. Live a little. Don't try to escape it with drugs and alcohol, because it ain't going to work. Drugs and alcohol ain't got nothing on comedy. Comedy is one of the best medicines in the world. Okay? 1.